Hello everybody and thank you for joining me. This is Sierra from Sierra T Designs and today I have these super adorable ATC cards to share with you. So let's jump right in. So an ATC is an artist trading card and I like to use this Ready Cut 5x7 cardstock by Strathmore because it's a watercolor paper because it will cut perfectly into 4 ATCs. So we're going to work on that right away. Excuse me. So I am going to bring in some sprays for this one. So I do have Kitsch Flamingo and Salvaged Patina Oxide sprays, and I am also going to bring in Milled Lavender spray, ink spray, like Distress ink spray, not oxide. And those are the 3 colors I'm going to kind of work between. And you saw that I added some water on the beginning, so I did start with a wet on wet technique, and then I'm going to move in and do some dry splashes after. Excuse me. So I am just going to spray the background until I get something that I like. I have found that some people find sprays really intimidating, and I think one of the best things for that is to have like a splat box so that it doesn't get everywhere. I find if I just spray it on my glass mat, I have spray everywhere. Now, it's water soluble, so it's really easy to clean up, but I do know some people get a little intimidated by that. And I think it's just a really fun way to play and make really cool backgrounds. So here you can see I'm just splashing on some of my perfect pearls, and then I'm just taking the nozzle out of my colors and splashing a little bit of that onto the background. This is just to add more texture and more to the background. It just kind of I like splashes, so it's just something that I do. You don't have to do that by any means. It's really based on what you like. So I have a stamp set here. It's called Unicorn Love, and it is by Simon Says Stamp, but they have discontinued it. However, the actual original artist of these stamps sells them on Etsy for like $4 Canadian. I'm Canadian, so that's, I don't even know, $2 American or $3 American. So I have a link down in the description if you guys want to go and check her out. She's got amazing digital stamps on there if digital stamps are your thing. They're really stunning. So make sure you go and check her out, and then you can support a small business, which I think is an amazing thing to do. So we are going to Copic color these. So I did stamp them out on Neenah Solar White, 80-pound cardstock, in Gina K Amalgam ink because it is a Copic-friendly ink. And to start, I'm going to do all of the bodies. I'm going to color them all the same. I'm only going to show you one because I don't think you guys need to see me color the same image. Well, it's a different image of a unicorn, but several times with the same colors. So I did use neutral grays for the body. I have N0, N2, and N4. That's what I'm going to use on the body. And then I bring in N6 for the hooves and the little nose holes. That's just, I wanted a darker N. And I don't generally use black. Excuse me. I usually use a gray when I want to add a blackish color. So like the hooves, I just went in a darker gray rather than a black just to add more depth to the image. And then when I get onto the mane, this is kind of one of my preferred rainbow blends. Or it's not really a blend, it's just rainbow colors. I used RV00, YR01, Y00, G00, B01, and V01. And everything I use is linked and listed down below if you guys are ever interested. Or you can always ask me questions if you ever have any. Don't feel like you can't reach out and ask me questions. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get back to the comments, but I always do respond. So if you ever ask a question, you will see an answer from me. And I'm going to do them the exact same on each little unicorn. The only difference is that when I get to the tail, as you can see I'm coloring the mane here, when I get to the tail I did bring those exact same colors in, but I just kind of blended them out. Like there's only 3 strands of tail, so I just did 2 colors each piece of tail instead of doing them individually. And then I brought in my N0 and just added a little bit of depth to the horn, and that's all I did for the horn because I really wanted it to look white. So all I did was add a little bit of shading to the horn. And then I brought in my Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and I'm just adding some to the horn and the inside of the ears. That's actually the only place that I put it. I seriously considered putting it over the mane, but in the end I didn't. You could, absolutely, or you could leave this out. It's just a little bit of added glitter, and I quite like glitter, so I have a tendency to want to add it to all the things. But you don't need to add that at all. And then I'm just finishing up. I missed some little nose holes on the little unicorn, so I had to go back, or nostrils, and I had to go back and fill them in. So I did bring in a white gel pen. I find that this adds a lot of life to an image, which is kind of funny. It's just a highlight, and there's no real rhyme or reason as to where I put it. I honestly just kind of add it where I think it would look pretty. It's kind of a trial or error situation. There's no making much sense to that. But honestly, I just bring it in. And I have had people ask me how to get the ink pen to work, because some people have had them dry up. Generally, I actually will draw on my thumb with it first to get the ink to flow. And then I start drawing on my image. I have found that that works the best, and it just washes off. Like, I've had no problems with it kind of getting stuck on my skin or anything like that. And then I just bring it into my images, and generally I will add a highlight to multiple areas. I think it just adds some depth. So I added it kind of the far left of the hair on all of them. And then a little bit on the ears, a little bit on the body, some on the feet. It's just to show some shine, right? Like, that's kind of all you're aiming for. And you'll see it when I hold them up in the end, better than you can right now. But I just think that it adds a lot of life to the image. So I do think it's a worthwhile addition. If you don't want to add glitter, this is definitely a good way to do it. But be aware that if you do the white glitter pen first and then add glitter, it can smear it. I've learned that by doing it myself, and I find that if I do glitter first and let it kind of dry, and then I come in with my white gel pen afterwards, it lasts better than otherwise. So that's just kind of how I've learned to do it. And I am going to fussy cut these out. I don't mind fussy cutting. Simon didn't do a die set of these stamps, so there is no dies available. However, if you own the digital stamps, I know you can use like a Cricut or a Silhouette to cut them out. I've done that. I have a Cricut. Excuse me, and I've done that for digital stamps, just cut them out with the Cricut. So I know that that's something you could do, but I don't really have a problem fussy cutting. I don't mind. So that I just do that when I don't own the dies. Although I am slowly collecting all of the dies for this Simon Says Stamp stamps that I love, of the ones they've created dies for. And I just showed you that one, and then I'm going to fussy cut out the other ones. It's the power of editing right there. And we are going to trim down our background. So it's fully dry now. And we're going to trim it down to the 2.5 by 3.5 inch mark, which is why the 5 by 7 works perfectly, because it gives you a perfect 4 cards for the ATCs. The only rule to artist trading cards is that they have to be 2.5 by 3.5 inches. That's it. You can literally use any medium, any design, anything. Like, you can do anything you want. It's completely up to you. And I did want a little more texture in my background, so I brought in 2 different stamp sets. Right here I have the Finnabair Don't Forget to Fly stamp set. This is one of my favorite ones for adding texture. And the other one that I'm going to bring in here in a second is Tim Holtz Reflections. You can see it kind of there on the screen. It's like script. Well, one's a script stamp, the one I'm holding in my hand right now. And then the other one's numbers and one's just writing. And I think that these are stunning additions to a background. And I'm not introducing any new colors. I have Kitsch Flamingo and Salvaged Patina Distress Oxide inks to stamp in, and then the same Gina K Amalgam ink. That's just to tie in the fact that I used that black ink on the unicorns. That's the only reason I really brought it back in. Otherwise, I wouldn't really bring black in again. However, I used it to stamp my images. So it's just to tie that black in a bit. And I did use really dark grays on some of the parts of the unicorn. So it's just kind of tie that all together. And I'm using my hand instead of a block because I want imperfect stamping. Like, this is just to add texture in the background. It's not to create any kind of specific image. It's not to take any focus away from the unicorns. It's honestly just to add texture. That's its only purpose. So you really want it to fall into the background. And had I been thinking, I would have actually probably also added some white splashes just to break up some of the blocks of color in the background. I didn't, so it doesn't matter. And I don't think it's lacking because of it. I think it just would have added another element that I would have enjoyed. But it's not necessary. So you can see I did add some 3D foam squares to the back of my unicorns, and I am going to glue them down. And then I brought in some Simon Says Stamp Moonshine sequins. These are probably my favorite sequins. And I just added a few. I added 3 to each card just to use up some of the empty space, because the unicorns are a little bit small for the card size, but I think they turned out pretty great. And I do kind of have them floating. I didn't ground them with anything. I really just wanted the unicorns to be the focus and to play with my sprays to create backgrounds. So it's kind of where I was going with this. And I mean, I create these and I trade them with other artists. That's kind of the whole purpose for me for the trading cards. So I don't keep my own cards. I trade them with other people who want to trade. So I think they turned out pretty adorable. I'd love to know what you guys think. If you would leave me a comment, leave me a like. I'd love to have a conversation, and you can ask me questions or we can just have a conversation. And if you would consider subscribing if you haven't done so before. I do a new video every Monday, and then I do other videos whenever I have the opportunity to join in on hops or anything like that. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.